Hey guys, it's Darci. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about world building. There are lots of elements to world building, whether you're writing like a sci-fi fantasy or a contemporary or a mystery or a horror or something like that. But there are some concepts that I've found apply across the board. Today I'm just going to talk about one element that I have been thinking about because I just saw a video talking about it. And that is Sanderson's first law of magic. Now this law states that your ability to solve problems in your plot with your magic is directly proportional to how well your reader understands the magic system. Now, if you don't write sci-fi fantasy, just hold up, stick with me. We'll get to how it applies to you in a minute, but I promise it does. What he means by this is that you can't just tell us that there's magic in the world and get your characters out of problems without telling us how the magic works, or at least giving us expectations for how the magic works. Now, you can replace magic system with societal expectations or high school drama rules or whatever, you know what I mean? Like, if we know this is the way things work, then we can expect that that will be the way things work. Now, you can generally expand on those things, but you have to give proper foreshadowing in order for us to understand that, like, oh, that's an okay change, or that's a satisfying way to use that magic, or to manipulate the societal expectations, right? Like Regency does this a lot, where there are very strict societal expectations, and if you don't follow those, you know that bad things are going to happen to your characters. Same thing with magic. If you tell us magic works like X, Y, and Z, and then you use them in a completely different way than you've explained to us, it doesn't work. It's not as satisfying. One example that I know Sanderson has used before is the example of, I think it's Nightcrawler in the X-Men movies. He has this ability to apparate, basically, right? He can disappear and reappear in a different place. And when we first meet him, he's asked, well, can you go anywhere? And he says, well, I can, but like I usually prefer to go places where I can see where I'm going, because I can go places where I can't see, but it's a lot more dangerous and I don't like doing it, you know? And so we've been given this setup where we know he can do it, but he doesn't like to. And so when he actually does it at the end, you know, he takes this risk and it works, then it's super, super satisfying, and we really enjoy it. Now, Sanderson talks about this spectrum that he uses to talk about this, where on one end you have what he calls like a hard magic system, where you've explained the rules very clearly to the reader, and the amazement and the awe and the wonder that you feel comes from the understanding of the magic, right? You can look at what a character is doing and how they're manipulating the magic and see and say to yourself, oh, I get it, that's cool, right? Where on the other end of the spectrum, you don't explain the rules, and it's more like Gandalf's magic in Lord of the Rings, where you don't really know how it's working or what he's doing, but you feel this awe, and the coolness comes from a sense of mystery, where you're like, oh wow, I didn't know that was possible, right? And because you don't know the rules, you can kind of like, he can kind of do almost anything, and it still is cool, because we don't have to understand the rules to know that Gandalf is cool. So basically, my understanding of this and the way that I see it is, no matter what you're writing, make sure that you are putting enough world building explanation into your story so that if you want to use and manipulate those rules to solve a problem, your reader understands how it's working. Does that make sense? Because like I said about Gandalf, we don't know how his magic really works. And so when he solves a problem, he doesn't really solve plot problems with magic. It's like from the very beginning, Frodo tries to give him the ring and he's like, I can't do that. Right? So we know that there are limits, but he can't just solve this problem with magic. Whereas in, say, The Reckoners at the end of Steelheart, spoiler alert, David, the main character, uses what he has learned about the magic system, or the science in this case, to defeat the bad guy. And it's really, really cool because they've spent the entire book trying to solve this problem with the magic that they don't understand. And finally, like at the last minute, he gets it and it clicks. And it's super satisfying because we've been given so many rules throughout the book of how this thing works. And we've figured out so much except for this one thing that we needed. And so when it clicks, it just... So that's my little spiel about world building, just talking about Sanderson's first law. He has 3 of them and a 0th law, so technically 4. And they're really, really great. He actually just released a lecture talking about them, so you can head to his YouTube channel. I'll put a link in the description to watch those, and they're really, really good. He is posting new lectures for his class this year if you're interested in watching those. So I hope that helps. Whoever is working on world building or writing a book or plotting or whatever, let me know if you have any questions, if I didn't explain anything properly, or just go watch Sanderson's lectures because he explains it a lot better than I do. And I will hopefully see you guys next week. I have to go make sure that my laptop is gonna be okay because it got soda spilled on it a couple days ago. So fingers crossed. I'll see you guys next week. Bye.